Uncertainty around the health of Cooper Flagg has college basketball fans wondering about Duke's NCAA tournament ceiling, and that's just how John Shire likes it.
You are Locked On College Basketball, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? Happy Wednesday. Welcome into the Locked On College Basketball Podcast, the only daily national college hoop show out there. We're your host. This is my guy, Andy Patton. I'm Isaac Schade. You're joining us at the place to get your college basketball content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We want to thank you sincerely for making us your first listener or watch of the day to get your day started the right way on the right foot. We want to remind you, you can catch every episode ad-free on Amazon Music. Special shout out to all the everydayers joining us and all the great members of the Locked On College Basketball Discord. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Andy, coming up today on the show, we're going to preview the right side of the bracket. We'll have the East region, the Midwest region, which features number one seeds Duke and Houston. We got some ankles going on in both situations there. Plus, what a crazy start we had with the play-in games last night. We had a near buzzer beater, Hail Mary style. We had North Carolina's, I don't even know what adjective to use here, Andy, against San Diego State.
Most of them you're not allowed to use.
Yes, so probably some extermination. Can we say that? How about that? There we go. That's the synonym that I'll use. And Andy, I hate it, but West Virginia's no good, very bad week continues, and the hits just keep coming. Andy, though, let's start in the East region. I'll rattle off the games, and I want to know about the Cooper Flagg of it all, which is not just the biggest storyline in this region, but the entire tournament, man. Here we go from top to bottom. 116 against the winner of Duke against the winner of American from the Patriot, and Mount St. Mary's from the MAC. That is today at 6:40 Eastern on True TV, and that will be that. Number 8-9 game, Mississippi State Baylor, 5-12, Oregon Liberty, 4-13 Arizona at the Zips of Akron, 6-11 game out in some elevation, BYU against VCU, 3-14 is Wisconsin Montana. It's juicy 7-10 between St. Mary's and the Commodores of Vanderbilt. And in the 2-15, we got Alabama against Romo. I've been calling them the Fighting Tonys lately. Andy, how do you feel about that?
You know what? I dig it. I think that's the first time I got it, but that's because I only barely pay attention to when you're making up random nicknames for things. So that's why we got it now. That's a good one.
So if ever I say the Fighting Tonys, I'm talking about Robert Morris, which I'm shortening to Romo. That then made me think
everybody should get that, right? Clearly,
it's a straight up like Michael Scott nickname progression. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man.
Oh, okay, Andy. So there's all the games in this East region, which will take they'll move eventually to Newark. Andy, here's the question: Cooper Flagg, is he playing? And if so, will it be on Friday or not till Sunday, assuming that Duke doesn't go the way of Virginia and Purdue?
Yeah, I think Cooper Flagg is playing on Sunday. I don't think he's going to play in their first game. I think they feel pretty confident about being able to beat either American or Mount St. Mary's. Obviously, those teams will be coming off a very short rest. And I think that for Duke, it's just a lot safer to keep him out. The idea of risking Cooper Flagg re-aggravating the injury in a situation where he then doesn't get to play for the rest of the tournament, I mean, that puts your ceiling, it significantly hampers your ceiling. I think Duke is maybe capable of winning a national championship without Cooper Flagg, which says a lot about the talent on this Duke roster. But the odds go down dramatically because with Cooper Flagg, they are the favorites, or at least right in that conversation with Auburn, with Florida. You see,
I mean, they're literally the betting favorites. Yes,
right. The betting favorites tend to favor Duke, and that's even right now with some question about Cooper Flagg's health. So you've said this before on the show, if Duke sans Flagg is unable to get by either American or Mount St. Mary's, and this is not to be in any way disrespectful to those teams, but if they can't do it, then their ceiling was probably not as high as we thought anyway. Like, this team needs to be able to win this game without Flagg. They'll most likely be without Malik Brown as well.
Surely,
yeah. Both significant losses for Duke. Obviously, Flagg is the most detrimental loss in all of college basketball, just from a impact he has on this team. But I think Duke has to feel confident they can get past this game without him. If you hold him out till Sunday, that's, I think, 10 days off. He's, again, we don't know much because Duke is holding it close to the chest, as they should, as I would in that situation. But from what we do know, it seems fairly plausible that that Flagg would be able to go by Sunday. But I don't see any reason to play him on Friday unless they feel like he's absolutely 100% just completely good to go, which I think is pretty unlikely.
And Andy, I mean, to your point, what a bummer. Cooper Flagg's out. I guess we're going to have to rely on our other lottery pick, Con Knipple. I mean, it's just like, the dude drops 28 points against Georgia Tech in the game that Flagg and Malik Brown both got hurt in. You got Tyrese Proctor, who, last year, Andy, let's remember, like, didn't really live up to that sophomore jump we thought he would take. But this year, man, he's been great. Isaiah Evans has moved into the starting lineup in Flagg's absence. He's been wonderful. This is a dude, it's not at the same level as Jared McCain last. I mean, that guy was ridiculous last year, but he is shooting really well, has gained in confidence. I think, Common Malawach isn't going to play a ton of more minutes, I don't think. And part of that is because Patrick Ngangba has really stepped in nicely in kind of that backup big role. We saw that over the weekend in the ACC tournament. And so I think no Flagg, no problem on Friday. But I really would be expected to see him on Sunday after 10 days of rest on that thing. Andy, let's get to some superlatives for this region. What's your favorite first round matchup?
Yeah, there's a lot of great ones here, but I gotta go with BYU VCU. This is a really fun game. As you alluded to, the game is in Denver, which is a big advantage for BYU. I would have been pumped. I think BYU 6 seed is entirely deserving for them. I think that's right around where they should have been. But to get a 6 seed in Denver is a great draw for them. Not only is Provo and Denver not terribly far away from each other, but they're both at elevation, a place where they're comfortable. VCU, they're not. This is not something that they're as used to. You and I had a chance on the Bracket Breakdown show as part for Amazon Fire TV to talk with Gordon Hayward about this, and I believe he said that the VCU is going to be sucking wind 5 minutes into this game because of playing at elevation. I think he's absolutely right. I think that's an advantage for BYU in a game that otherwise I think is fairly evenly matched. Ryan Odom is a fantastic coach for VCU. They were very, very fortunate to have him for the last couple of years. Max Shulga returning to VCU after kind of flirting with Villanova for a couple of weeks, decided, I'm going to stay where I was. He's been tremendous. I like this matchup a lot. I think BYU is going to be a team that advances to the Sweet 16. And honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if they advance to the Elite Eight if they get past VCU. I think VCU is a very tough matchup for them. I would not be surprised to see the Rams go on a little bit of a run themselves. But if Kevin Young and the Cougars win this game, I think that they match up well against Wisconsin. And I think they could very reasonably be a team they'd be playing potentially Alabama in that matchup, which that's if they get by a St. Mary's team. That is another intriguing potential second round matchup. But I could see BYU in the Elite Eight, or I could see them losing to VCU. And that's why this game intrigues me so much.
Andy, that's my choice too. Let's not belabor it. Let's keep on going. As you project this bracket out, Andy, who is your Elite Eight matchup and who's winning it?
Give me Duke versus BYU. Let's do it. Let's roll with that. Like, I think that there's a very real possibility that Bama St. Mary's could be incredibly fun if that happens. I think Bama does win that one. I think the offense wins over the defense in that one, but I think BYU is just an absolute freight train right now. So I could see that being the matchup there. A fully healthy Duke wins. Fully healthy Duke beats every team in this region. I think Bama would be a tough matchup if they got it. I think Wisconsin could be a tough matchup if John Tonje is playing incredibly well. I think Arizona, especially with Caleb Love, could be a tough matchup. But yeah, give me Duke out of this region and give me Duke playing BYU in what would be just a really interesting, fun game between those two teams.
Yeah, Andy, I'm with you. Like, Duke just seems, Cooper Flagg or no Cooper Flagg, they at least make the Elite Eight. Like,
who do you have them playing though? You there's no way you're taking BYU too, right? You got to have them played somebody else.
No, not because I don't see it. I see that, right? Like, it makes sense to me. I am going to go with Bama, but I'm putting a pin in it pending Grant Nelson's health. I think they've got enough without it, but St. Mary's is a difficult 2-7 game Wisconsin or BYU is a difficult Sweet 16 game. And then the Elite Eight is, so it's just, I don't feel like Bama has been done any favors with their path here. I think that's one of my biggest things from this. And so, especially if Grant Nelson's not yes, Cooper Flagg, biggest injury in this region, but I would say that Grant Nelson's health is more important even than Malik Brown's. I would put that probably 1, 2, 3. And there might be a couple others I'm not thinking about. Obviously others that Baylor not having Josh Onjanua, right? That's a massive blow to them. But I also love, Andy, the possibilities of Duke having to play Jeremy Roach in the second round. I love the possibility of Duke having to play Caleb Love again in the Sweet 16. And they played earlier this year in the desert, right? With Duke winning. They played 2 seasons ago in Cameron with Arizona winning that game. So Caleb Love, ironically enough, if that transpires, will have played Duke 3 more times, not in the UNC jersey. That's wackadoodle to me. But Andy, and I've got Duke winning this bracket. Come on, what are we talking about here? One of my favorite questions for each region: who's the new household name coming out of this region that everyone's going to know that they don't yet?
Yeah, I think I was debating between a couple of different players here, and I feel we've talked so much BYU, so I'm going to skip BYU, although I would have picked Richie Saunders here. But I'm going to go with Augustus Marcelonis. Okay. And this is if St. Mary's, obviously they got to pull off the upset against Alabama. First of all, they got to beat Vanderbilt. I think they'll beat Vanderbilt. I think they give Bama everything. I could see them winning this one. Marcelonis, the son of NBA or Basketball Hall of Famer Sarunas Marcelonis. He's a 2-time WCC Player of the Year. Very few players can say that they won that award twice. Drew Timme has, Steve Nash has. There's some great names in that list. But Marcelonis, he controls the pace for this St. Mary's team, the slow pace, I might add, for this team. He's a good shooter.
I don't think we put enough O's in slow.
Right.
Right?
It's a lot slower than that. I could see him being somebody who puts his name kind of squarely on the map. He's a 5th-year senior who's been there for a long time. College basketball diehards have heard of him for a while, but I could see a more casual audience really getting to know him if this team makes a Sweet 16 run.
I just can't get their ineptitude offensively in the West Coast Championship game out of my head, and so I'm just struggling to remove that and remember how good St. Mary's actually is. Andy, several names that I think about as I look at this. You mentioned Richie Saunders from BYU. Folks, if you haven't seen their point guard, Jaeger Demon, you need to see him, but Max Scholga as well from VCU. So basically whoever wins that game is going to be a household name. But there's a couple guys at Oregon. I love Nate Biddle. He's 57 years old and balding in the middle for Oregon. It reminds me of Brian Cardinal. Remember that dude at Stanford? Back in the late 90s. But also from Oregon, Jackson Shelstad feels like he's taken and hit approximately 13 and a half of those threes that are 8 feet beyond the arc this year in big moments. And so I love his. There's just so many of those kind of names. And I'm like, man, if somehow you've missed John Tonji this year from Wisconsin, y'all got to be in on this. Excited to see it, Andy. It's going to be a great East region, but I really think Duke should run away with this thing.
Well, we've been talking a lot about the injuries for Duke, but one of the teams that's had a ton of conversation the last couple of years regarding injuries in the NCAA tournament is Houston. They are feeling pretty healthy right now. That's a good sign for them. Hopefully that continues, but they also have a very brutal potential second-round draw. Could it stop them from making a deep run despite another dominant season in the Big 12? We're going to talk about that coming up in just a second. But first, folks, scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more, experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. So whether you need extra hands for a project or long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. If you need help with a marketing campaign, Upwork can connect you with freelance expert who will deliver incredible results. Posting a job is free and simple, and within one day, you'll have multiple qualified candidates to choose from. Instead of hiring full-time, Upwork helps find affordable, top-tier freelancers to scale your business efficiently. So visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That's Upwork.com, UPWORK.com, to connect with top talent and grow your business today.
This episode is also brought to you by Fabric. Look, y'all, life moves fast, especially when you have a family. One day you're watching your kids take their first couple steps. Andy's got a 1-year-old at home.
Yep,
And before you know it, oh man, it's good luck to you, sir. It's a whole new world. Yep. And before you know it, they're 9 and 6 like mine. And then a few years later, they're off to college. That's why securing their future is so important. Fabric by Gerber Life makes it simple to get term life insurance that fits your family's needs. With Fabric, you can apply for term life insurance online right from your couch, and you could be covered in under 10 minutes. And in many cases, you don't even have to have a health exam. As a parent, I want to make sure my family is financially protected no matter what happens, and Fabric gives me that peace of mind. You can get $1 million in coverage for less than $1 a day, so protecting your loved ones, it really doesn't have to break the bank. Fabric also offers free digital wills and access to investment accounts to help you plan for your children's future. So go ahead, join the thousands of parents who trust Fabric to help protect their families. Apply today in just minutes at meetfabric.com/lockedoncollege. Again, that's meetfabric.com/lockedoncollege. Policies issued by Western Southern Life Assurance Company, not available in certain states. Prices subject to underwriting and health questions. Andy, we've gone from the south to the west to the east, and now we finish in the bottom right quadrant in the Midwest. Speaking of which, if you didn't catch our previews of those other two regions, you can go back to our Tuesday episode where we discuss those. And then tomorrow on Thursday, baby, we get it's go time. Oh, man, it's so glorious. But now, the Midwest region, Andy, let me peep the games, and then we'll look at the biggest storyline and pick best first-round matchups. At the top, number 1, Houston against 16 SIUE. First time appearance for the SIUEs. 8-9 game is the Fighting Zags against number 9 UGA. Number 5, 12 game, Clemson McNeese. Funny enough, because Will Wade might be in the ACC soon. Number 4, Purdue against number 13, High Point. Number 6, Illinois against the winner of tonight's Texas Xavier game. We'll get you ready for that one in a little bit here. Number 3, Kentucky against 14, Troy. Number 7, UCLA against 10, Utah State. And then Tennessee, the number 2 seed against 15, Wofford. Andy, for this thing, obviously, you talked about it with Houston. They don't have yet I say yet because it could still Jamal Sheds last year was in the Sweet 16 against Duke, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, because then they lost to Duke. Duke played NC State in the Elite Eight to go to the Final Four.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So there's that. But Houston, they do have a minor thing right now we're watching, Jawan Roberts' ankle. But outside of that, they seem mostly healthy, Andy. But I don't want to forecast too quickly ahead, but perhaps the biggest storyline of this for me is these committee's inability to know where Gonzaga should be properly seated. They are so high in KenPom. What are they right now? 9, 8?
Yeah, 9th.
And, maybe some of the resume metrics aren't as high, but here they are an 8 seed. And not only is that not fair to Gonzaga or Georgia, it's also very not fair to Houston, where, Andy, we could be seeing in the second round a 1 seed, potential national champion, because Houston is that good, against a Gonzaga team that, based on what the year has done, should probably be a 6, maybe a 7 in my estimation. Andy, where are you at on that whole conversation?
Yeah, if I was a Houston fan, I wouldn't be thrilled about a potential round of 32 matchup between the KenPom 3rd-ranked team in the country and the KenPom 9th-ranked team in the country. That's not a great draw. Gonzaga was one of the most difficult teams for the committee to seed. I'm absolutely confident in that, and understandably so. They were a team that consistently was in the top 10 at KenPom, consistently in the top 10 at net. They finished the season 8th in the net. I don't think they ever dropped below like 15. Like, legitimately, they were in the top 15 all season long at net. Torvik had them top 15-ish all year long. And yet, when they played good teams, they consistently lost close games. Yeah. And so that's why the metrics were so good. They never got blown out. They never, ever get blown out. It is exceedingly rare in Mark Few's entire tenure, at least the last 10 years or so. It's pretty much never happened. And this year they lost 3 of their 8 games were in overtime. In regulation, I don't think they lost a single regulation game by more than 6, 5, something like that. And they lost pretty much to good teams. They lost a road game to Oregon State. They lost a home game to Santa Clara. That was far and away their worst loss of the season, but Santa Clara was a pretty good team. And so you're looking at a resume that was just kind of confusing, kind of confounding. They beat the absolute doors off of Baylor, but that was way back on the first day of the season. So this team just kind of was hard to pin down. They played a lot better as of late, a lot better, really. They finally beat St. Mary's. They lost to them twice in the regular season, got them in the WCC championship game. But I thought an 8 was a little low, but 7 felt understandable. 6 would have been nice, but it was just a tough team to really figure out what to do with. And so I wouldn't be thrilled if I was Houston, especially with the way Gonzaga has played as of late. But I kind of understand the committee. Their hands were tied a little bit of we can't reward a team that the only NCAA tournament teams that Gonzaga beat this year were Baylor and San Diego State, who we'll talk about them in a second. Didn't look like an NCAA tournament team on Tuesday night. And then St. Mary's, who they lost to twice. Those are the only teams that they beat that played in the tournament. They lost to UCLA. They lost to Kentucky. They lost to West Virginia, who didn't even make the tournament. They lost to, which we'll also talk about in a second. This team, they beat Indiana, who probably should have made the tournament, but it was just a weird year for Gonzaga, and I get why Houston fans are probably not thrilled about this, but I also think Houston is the better team, and I think Gonzaga can absolutely win that game, but I could also see Gonzaga losing to Georgia.
All right, Andy, let me – here's another – listen, I hate that I have to bring this up. Kentucky's a 3 seed, and do you happen to remember what seed they were last year when they played – the fighting Jack Golkeys?
I do recall they were a 3 seed, and now I'm looking up who is the best 3-point shooter who comes off Troy's bench, because that might be our new hero for this year's NCAA
That's
tournament.
Why I'm asking, because poor Kentucky, man. And again, I hate this, but Kerr Kriisa not playing. Jackson Robinson done. Lamont Butler, best defender, and who could also help with ball handling duties. Shoulder injury. What's going to happen there? I think the heater Otega Owe has been on lately, although they're not playing Oklahoma, so who knows what's going to happen here. Should be enough to win the day, along with some of the other guys on this roster. But Andy, even though John Calipari is now in Fayetteville, Arkansas, instead of Lexington, Kentucky, I just got to ask, are we again worried that Kentucky might befall themselves to a 14 seed here? Is that a thing?
I'm not, because I just don't think Troy is that good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more about that than it is about Kentucky. I mean, Kentucky, obviously, some of the issues that they had under Cal are continued under Mark Pope, even though it's a completely different roster, namely a good offensive team that struggles defensively. Troy is a horrendous 3-point shooting team. I was looking it up sort of jokingly, but they shot barely 30% on the season from 3. They're 339th. According to KenPom in 3-point shooting. So this team is actively quite bad as a 3-point shooting team. I don't think they can. That's such a key thing to be able to pull off a mega upset like this. Again, just ask Jack Golke in Oakland. That's what they were able to do. I don't think this Troy team is good enough to beat Kentucky. I would be worried about Kentucky against Illinois. Frankly, I would be worried about Kentucky even against Texas or Xavier. I think if they were to do what North Carolina did, where they just beat the absolute doors off one of the other teams, carry some momentum, and Kentucky maybe plays a little flat against Troy, I could absolutely see that happening with one of those 11 seeds. In Illinois, a fully healthy Illinois, I might even pick them against Kentucky regardless. I just think that they're such a good team. I think Kentucky gets by this game, but and Mark Pope, who to this day yet does not have a win in the NCAA tournament. He didn't win a game at BYU in the tournament. I think he'll get his first one, but I'm not sure he'll get a second one.
Well, Andy, here's part of why I asked. I love that you brought up the Mark Pope has never won. Troy, yes, agreed. How about I tell you this, Andy? This team is 6th in the nation in offensive rebounding percentage.
That's huge.
They've won 6 straight games, 5 of which by double figures. And I know it's Sun Belt opponents, whatever, fine. I'm my eyebrows are raised a little bit about it. All right, Andy, what's your favorite first round matchup in the Midwest region?
Yeah, I think I'm really intrigued by UCLA, Utah State. And we'll talk a little bit more about Utah State in a second, and the fact that they just seemingly can never hold on to a coach and may have that same problem once again. But this team was great this year under Jared Calhoun. I mean, they were absolutely fantastic after losing Danny Sprinkle to Washington. And I think that they're really going to present a challenge for a UCLA team that has been very inconsistent this year, played great at times in the non-conference, and then had some stumbles early in conference play. In particular, Mick Cronin was complaining about seeing the Statue of Liberty or whatever it was that he was whining about early in the year, throwing his players under the bus like he likes to do. They played a little bit better down the stretch, but I would not be surprised. I know 10-7 is not like a massive upset or anything,
Sure.
but I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Utah State win that game. And honestly, they could give Tennessee some serious trouble in a round of 32 game as well.
Man, that's a good word. I think the one that's intriguing to me, Andy, is Illinois versus TBD, either Texas or Xavier, which obviously we'll get ready for that game. Look, you know, dude, because we've been talking about it a lot lately. I'm very high on Illinois, and I think they are actually going to make some noise in this tournament. But that said, the thing about teams that get in coming off the bubble, that are in the play-in, usually means they're a bubble team that's been playing well, and that's why they get in.
Right.
Texas, we've seen them doing better lately. They won some multiple tough games in the SEC tournament, including that 2 overtime win over A&M. Yeah, like that's Texas and A&M, right? Like that's the thing. Trey Johnson could just go nuclear at any point. Like set Texas's freshman scoring record, knocking off some dude in the NBA that, going back to Gordon Hayward, by the way, told us in the car on the way to the airport that Kevin Durant's the hardest guard he's ever had in his life. Trey Johnson just beat that dude's record, Andy. That's what we're talking about here. Xavier, they've got Zach Freeman. They got Ryan Conwell outside. That's a great two-man combo that could cause problems. I think Illinois should be fine, but I want to watch it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Andy, Elite Eight matchup, and who's moving on?
Yeah, I got Houston. I think Houston's going to be able to do enough here to get into the Elite Eight, especially if there's no issues with Roberts' ankle. And I got Houston advancing, and I got them playing Tennessee 1 versus 2. Super boring, but a fun game, like a fun matchup between two very defensive focused teams. To me, it'll come down to which of the kind of high scoring guards can kind of step up and get it done. Will it be Chaz Lanier? Can he kind of will this Tennessee team to a Final Four to get Rick Barnes off the schneid in that area? Or will it be LJ Cryer or even Emmanuel Sharp for Houston, getting out there, lighting it up from beyond the arc? And even just the Zakai Ziegler, Milos Uzan matchup in the point guards is going to be a ton of fun if we end up getting this 1-2 matchup.
Andy, it's funny because I just talked about, be careful, Illinois. I've actually got Illinois beating Houston in the Elite Eight to go to the Final Four quickly, because I know we are long on time here. Who's your new household name coming out of this region?
You know, I was kind of thinking about that, and it depends what happens in the Illinois game versus Texas or Xavier. And I think I want to say Ryan Conwell desperately, but I don't think Xavier's going to win enough games to be the name here. But I just love Ryan Conwell's game, and I want to shout him out. So here he gets his shout out there. But let me go with Will Riley at Illinois, a guy that I think a lot of people have probably seen a handful of times. But I think Illinois got a run in them, just like you said. I'm with you on that. I wouldn't be surprised to see them take down Kentucky. And I think a lot of Illinois fans are going to be, maybe they're going to be familiar with their other guards, maybe with Kasparis Yakuchonis.
Yes,
I still struggle with his name, but I really like Will Riley's game, and I think he's somebody that is going to play really well in this tournament. And I think you're going to see him kind of really boost his draft stock, which is already pretty high right now. Maybe vault himself all the way into the lottery conversation if Illinois is able to go on a run, beat Kentucky, give Tennessee a run for their money to go to the Elite Eight.
Well, Yakuchonis is who I was going to go with. So I'll just say I expect Gonzaga to beat Georgia, but make sure you watch that game, because Asa Newell and Silas Demery from UGA are a great freshman-sophomore combo that you're not going to want to miss. Andy, take us on. We're running so long.
Well, we didn't expect that North Carolina winning a play-in game would quiet the doubters, but we also didn't expect that they would win by 37 points and have a 40-point lead in the middle of the second half. It was an insane game. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the other game. We're also going to talk about West Virginia's horrendous week. All that coming up here in just a second. But first, folks, have you ever checked your bank account and wondered, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. And that's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you just stop managing your money and start building wealth. And instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. My wife and I always want to make sure that we are on the same page when it comes to our finances. And thankfully, with Monarch Money, managing money with your partner, it's smoother than ever before. You can track shared and personal accounts, set your goals, and stay on the same page without all the stress. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the bracket breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
Well, as we got a pair of, one exciting game, one exciting for a different reason game in the play-in game that we saw on Tuesday night. Alabama State wins a thriller over St. Francis. We'll talk about that. But first, North Carolina. And your boy can't do math. It was a 27-point win, but they were up by more than 37 at points in this game against the Aztecs. Tar Heels 95-68, the final here. Just an absolute, this thing wasn't even close at the beginning. If you missed the first 5 minutes of this basketball game, it was already pretty much out of hand. San Diego State was just completely outmatched all game long. RJ Davis, tremendous game from him. You could tell he was not ready for his college basketball career to come to a close. 26 points, perfect 6 of 6 from three, 4 of 5 from the free throw line. Jalen Withers, nice bounce back game for him after that just devastating end to the Duke game. He had a double-double here, 10 points, 10 boards. Isaac, North Carolina, we thought there was a real chance they'd win this game. We thought there was a chance they might even have a pretty comfortable win and gain some momentum going into the tournament. But did you see this coming?
No, I did not. I'll put some numbers.
60% of their threes? No, you didn't see that?
No. Andy, let me put some numbers to it. San Diego State comes into this game first nationally in field goal percentage defense, 37.8% on the season. Carolina just shot 52.6%. Mm-hmm. San Diego State comes into this game 14th nationally, allowing 63.6 points a game. Carolina got to 64 points with 13:26 to go. The most points allowed by San Diego State in a single game this entire season was 80, which they allowed to your Gonzaga Bulldogs. Andy, North Carolina got to 82 on RJ Davis's 6-3 with 7 minutes and 31 seconds to go, finishing with 95 points. Bonkers. But Andy, despite all of that craziness against San Diego State's vaunted defense that also got back Magoon Guaf for this game, who averages 2.5 blocks a game, what was most impressive to me, like, the offense is going to be the headline for most people. It's Carolina's defense that was most impressive to me. I just read a stat from Isaac Trotter from CBS as we were talking here that San Diego State only attempted 8 shots at the rim in this game.
Wow.
And I think that's such a tribute and a credit to North Carolina's guards, keeping guys in front of them, staying connected, communicating, switching well, cutting off baseline, all of that kind of stuff. And so North Carolina's offense is going to go, right? Like they just do, unless they're facing Duke, and understandable. Sure. But if North Carolina's defense is going to match that same level of intensity, this is a team that could beat Ole Miss on Friday, could beat a shorthanded Iowa State team on Sunday. And then you've got potential rematches after that with Michigan State from Maui and then Auburn. Like, it's just interesting, Andy, when you start looking at what the potential is.
I'm incredibly interested to see if North Carolina can keep this momentum going. They had a lot of momentum coming out of the ACC regular season. It got halted by a bad first half against Duke, and then it kind of got resumed with a strong second half against Duke until the collapse at the very end of that game. But they responded incredibly well to that, and yeah, this is a team that I think is very, very dangerous at this point. More dangerous than, I will say, Alabama State, but what a game. What a game that we got from Alabama State, winning a thriller over St. Francis, like we said. The way that this game ended, in case you missed it, folks, tie game 68-68, I think 3.5 seconds left. Alabama State throws a full court pass from out of bounds. The ball bounces around. I think it touches like 5 different guys. Amar Knox ends up with it, hits a lay-in with less than a second to go. They end up putting 1 second on the clock. St. Francis unable to hit the full court heave. And so Alabama State is your winner here, the 5th NCAA tournament appearance for them. Meanwhile, St. Francis actually came into the NCAA tournament with a losing record, which does not happen very often, but obviously in one bid leagues, if you go on a run and win your conference tournament, it can happen. They were the 19th team to enter the NCAA tournament with a losing record. Those teams, 0-19. They had a chance to break that streak. So close, unable to get it done. Shout out to Alabama State for giving us a very fun first game in the NCAA tournament in 2025.
Andy, that full court pass, it felt like one of those Hail Marys that bounces around a little bit, and then there's a guy just sitting on his butt in the end zone, and it just falls in his lap. You know what I'm saying? Like, he found that, and he's like, oh, I guess I'll lay this up on the left side of the rim with no one around. Yeah, crazy stuff. Congrats to Alabama State. Andy, you mentioned it earlier, West Virginia. Already having a horrendous week. And now they're not only going to be suing the NCAA, Andy, I think they're going to have to sue the city of Bloomington, Indiana, because after just 1 year, Indiana announced on Tuesday. I mean, this thing is legit. It's out there. Indiana men's basketball tweeted it that they are hiring Darian DeVries from West Virginia. Got to assume that if Tucker's able to get an extra year of eligibility, he's coming with them for the second year in a row from Drake to West Virginia, and now probably West Virginia to IU. And look, this is a great move for the Hoosiers, man. I love Darian DeVries is a great basketball coach. Tucker DeVries is a great basketball player. Yep. I think this could be the thing, Andy, that gets Indiana back where they should be. This program should be up at the top of the Big Ten every year. Basketball is better when Indiana basketball is good. And so, man, poor West Virginia, literally like it was like 48 hours apart. They don't make the field. And then Tuesday at about the same time, this comes out. It sucks for West Virginia, but lots of lawsuits out there to be had.
I'm gutted for West Virginia, gutted for them. I'm with you, though. Great hire for Indiana. I get why they got this thing out as quick as they could. They said, oh, he said yes, boom, throw it up there, publish it, get out the press release. We're making this happen because Darian DeVries is one of the best coaches that was whether people even knew he was available or not for hire, they went out and got their guy. This is a great hire for the Hoosiers. But yeah, I feel strongly for West Virginia. We already saw Jonathan Powell, who was a really good freshman for them last year, enter in the transfer portal reportedly. We also saw Malik Renew enter the transfer portal out of Indiana. So Darian DeVries already has a big hole to fill in the front court. Obviously going to lose Umar Ballo as well. But yeah, I'm excited for what the future is for Indiana basketball. I think West Virginia is going to figure it out. I teased this earlier, so I'll say it quickly here. Jared Calhoun, the head coach at Utah State, who's only been there for 1 year, has a lot of connections to West Virginia. He coached under Bob Huggins. He was an assistant there for 5 years. I would not be surprised. In fact, the early sentiment out there is that Calhoun is the favorite to take the West Virginia job. That would mean that we will have a fifth coach at at Utah State since 2018, which for small schools that are having a bunch of issues, maybe that's common. For Utah State, they've made the tournament most of those years, but Craig Smith only lasts 3 years before he goes to Utah. Ryan Odom lasts 2 years before he goes to VCU. Danny Sprinkle lasts just 1 year before he goes to Washington. Possibly Jared Calhoun lasts only 1 year before he goes to West Virginia. Insane stuff that this might continue to keep happening for the poor Aggies of Utah State. I say poor Aggies. They've been in the tournament 5 times in the last few years. They continue to win 25-plus games. They're doing fine. I don't know how much this luck can continue for them, but boy, do they know how to pick a head coach. It's just unfortunate they can't retain them.
Andy, the other two play-in games are tonight. We start with Mount St. Mary's against American. FanDuel has it American -2.5. That game will tip off at 6:40 Eastern on True TV. And that will be followed by the other at-large play-in game, which will be the 11th seeded Xavier Musketeers out of the Big East against those Texas Longhorns. Shouts to my wife, the Longhorn, and Trey Johnson. That game will tip approximately 9:10 Eastern, also on True TV. And after those two games, Andy, our field of 64 will be beautifully and gloriously set. We'll be able to talk about that on Thursday's show, as well as get ready for Christmas Day, baby, because it's coming tomorrow. Andy and I will be here with you to get things ready for that. Andy, I'm so stoked. Folks, thanks so much for making Locked On College Basketball your first listen every single day. We've been elated to be with you. We just love what we're doing. And the numbers coming in, folks, is bonkers. And that's all because of you. Thank you for being here with us. If you haven't checked out that bracket breakdown in our partnership with Amazon, I want to make sure you go look at that. Any Amazon-enabled device, you can find that. If you're not part of the Locked On College Basketball Discord, that link's in the show notes. We'd love to have you there, where we hang out and talk college basketball all day long. Every day we got a bracket challenge going on in there that just was started up on Tuesday. As always, we got to say apologies to the Lord. We didn't even talk Purdue today, really. We'll see what happens. So double apologies to the Lawyer family. Let's go Wild Popes. Hopefully we'll see what happens. And shouts to Mick Bruins. We'll talk again tomorrow, but until then, peace.